At some point today, you'll probably need to persuade someone. Your boss to support an idea, a coworker to lend a hand on a project, a customer to make a purchase, your spouse to take out the recycling, or simply your kids to do their homework without a struggle. Regardless of who you need to persuade or what you want them to do, here's a question. What's the smallest change you can make to your approach that could make the biggest difference to your effectiveness? Scientists who study the persuasion process have consistently revealed a simple yet remarkable truth. When it comes to effectively influencing others, often it's the smallest change that makes the biggest difference to your persuasive success. There's a name given to a small change that makes a big difference. We call it a small big. Here's an example. When persuading someone to complete a task, is it better to focus on the progress that's already been made or the effort that remains? The answer, according to a study conducted by behavioral scientists Min-Jung Koo and Ayelet Fishbach, is that it depends on how much progress you make in the early stages. In one study, customers at a sushi restaurant were given a loyalty card and told that they would receive a free lunch for every 10 purchases they made. Those customers who made only a small amount of initial progress by buying lunch just for themselves were twice as likely to return to the restaurant if they focused on the progress they'd made toward the free lunch. However, those customers who made a lot of initial progress, perhaps because they bought lunch for themselves and a group of friends, were more likely to return if their attention was focused on the progress that remained to get the free lunch. Why? Because people tend to be more motivated to complete a goal when their focus is directed to the smaller area, whether that small area concerns the progress already made or the effort that remains. So, when persuading others or yourself to complete tasks, one small change that you can make that will make a big difference is to always focus attention on the smaller amount, regardless of whether that small amount is progress made or effort remaining. For example, at the beginning of the month, a supervisor would be more persuasive if she focuses her sales team on the smaller amount of progress they've made. You've already achieved 20% of this month's target, rather than the larger effort remaining. You've only 80% left to go. But when the effort that remains is actually the smaller number than the progress that's been made, the reverse will be true. So once her team reaches 80% of their sales target, rather than saying, "You are 80% of the way there," she would now be more persuasive if instead she says, "You've only 20% left to go." So, when it comes to persuading that colleague at work to finish a project, a customer to move to the next tier of your loyalty program, or even yourself to complete that circuit at the gym, focusing on the smaller number could be a small change that makes a big difference. We don't have time to dive into the psychology that explains why, but you can learn much more in the book The Small Big, which contains practical information about more than 50 other small changes that you can make that make a big difference to your ability to influence and persuade others. Changes that you can immediately put into practice without having to make costly investments in time, effort, or money. When it comes to influencing and persuading others, small is very much the new big.